officially introduce myself. I'm Mitchell Mack. You can just call me Mitch for short. I'm the business development manager. I cover all of Ohio, so I've got the whole state, and I've got a little portion of West Virginia as well. So I am local here in the state. I am an Ohioan. I'm out of the Hudson area, Streetsboro, right next to Kent State. And I've been a rep for a little over 8 years now. Had a chance to, this is definitely a younger Mitch that you're seeing in the picture here. My first time to Portugal was back in 2017, and it was amazing. I mean, I absolutely loved the country. It's very much a warm weather destination. You guys are going at a great time of the year. We call it the shoulder season. You know, I always try and, especially with a destination like Portugal being a warmer weather destination, try and have my groups avoid traveling in the summer because it is just so darn hot. You know, bigger cities like Lisbon are extremely crowded. So going in April is a really nice time of the year to travel. You know, me personally, I try to travel in the shoulder season whenever I can. You can get a pretty attractive price point. The weather's not overly hot. Crowds are a little bit more thinned out. Is this y'all's first time to Portugal?
Yeah.
Yes.
Our son and his wife honeymooned in Portugal and they loved it. So that's why we're motivated to do it.
Yeah, they already told us that English, especially among young people in the country, is commonly spoken. So it's, the language isn't a real big barrier, which is important for us. And the food was terrific.
Yeah, they love the food.
Oh, they did warn us. They stayed in an Airbnb at the top of for the view. They went for the view and was it
in
Lisbon?
Lisbon, I think, and they climbed and climbed, and it was exhausting.
They're both young, athletic. They said it was quite a journey getting up the hills with their luggage to get to the Airbnb. So
Yeah, I can imagine. Whenever we do our tours, I mean, our main demographic are seniors, so we make sure that we don't pick any hotel accommodation locations that, you know, require a big hike up a hill or anything like that. They're very, very accessible, and we've got some pretty good hotels on this. You're going to see the name Villa Galé a lot with this itinerary. I had a chance when I did this exact tour, because we do have a couple of different tours that hit Portugal. But I did this exact tour. So here's a picture of the hotel that you're going to be staying in Cascais. So I've stayed in Lisbon, I stayed in Cascais, and to be honest, I much preferred staying in Cascais right on the water. It's a little bit, you know, smaller town. You know, Lisbon was nice, but it was a little bit more commercialized. Whenever I travel, I like to stay in some of the more localized places. And I think the Cascais and the Villa Galé are just an awesome location. Here's a good aerial view. So short walk, you can see it's right on the water. So it's about, you know, depending on how quickly you walk, 15, 20 minutes, nice leisurely paced walk right into, you know, the cute little downtown area of Cascais. And the pacing of the tour is really nice too. You know, you've got 3 nights in Cascais, 3 nights down in the Algarve, and then a couple of one-night stays. So it's not like you're hotel hopping every single day. You can actually settle in and fully immerse yourself in these different cities and in the destination. And, you know, we've got a handful of included meals for you guys. As you know, being on a Collette tour, we don't include all of the meals. I think you probably appreciated some of that, you know, free time, whether it be in the afternoon or some free evenings to just get away from the group, you know, find a nice spot and have dinner on your own. And the nice part about doing it guided, the tour manager is amazing about pointing you in the right direction whenever it comes to like food recommendations, shopping recommendations. If there's some independent touring and sightseeing that you want to see around Cascais or Lisbon, they're there just to point you in the right direction. But I'll show you some of the things that we're going to be doing, some of the things that we're going to be seeing, just to give you a little bit of a visual. The next day after our welcome dinner is when we really start our touring and sightseeing. So some of the things that we'll see are the Alfama district, which is Lisbon's, oldest historic quarter. So this is where you'll get a lot of those, nice cobblestone streets, the narrow walkways, the winding roads, the things that just kind of exude Europe, if you will. And then we stop at the coastline. So you're going to see different things like the Belem Tower, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, monument to the discoveries along the Tagus River. Portugal as a country was definitely founded on exploration. So we're going to learn all about, the different explorers that had an impact on Portugal over the years. We also visit a really beautiful monastery on this tour. It's called Geronimo's Monastery. It's absolutely massive. And it was, constructed during that age of discovery. And it was supposed to be, like a symbol of power. So just a nice little modest monastery, especially on the inside of it. Explorer Vasco da Gama's tomb is located inside the monastery as well. And then to give you guys just a little bit of a visual of what the downtown area of Cascais looks like. The streets are kept in immaculate shape. It's funny, I actually met somebody from Boston my very first day in Cascais, and he said he went to study abroad for 3 months in Portugal, and fast forward 30 years later, he never ended up leaving. He loved the city, he loved the country that much. So I thought that was kind of telling about, how great of a city and how great of a country this really is, because everything is super affordable. I mean, the price point on this trip is really, really nice at $36.99. Anytime that you can do, especially nowadays, Europe is trending more towards the $49.99 price point for a 10-day tour. So the fact that we can be under $4 on this tour, and that price includes land and air, you can do Portugal at a really good value. We do have a couple of different optional tours on this itinerary. One of them is the Lisbon by night. It's a dinner and a show, essentially. I don't know if you guys ended up signing up for the Faro show option or not.
Yeah, we did.
You did? Okay. Yeah, I had a chance to do the Fado show. I thought it was pretty interesting. It's a really good, cultural immersion opportunity because, Fado it's on the UNESCO World Heritage List. And it's, a very traditional Portuguese style of music. The singers are very passionate. Every song tells, a deep story about, ups and downs of life, what every day is like in in the Portugal neighborhood. They sing about, disappointments of love. So some of the songs are kind of
sad.
Yeah, they do have a lot, a sad tone and a sad feeling, but that's kind of the style of Fado music. And the dinner that you get is absolutely amazing. This is a tour that you definitely don't go home hungry. And if you're wine fans, it's a tour that you definitely don't go home thirsty either. Because Portugal has some very, very nice, high quality wine, and it is very inexpensive. So you can get a nice bottle of red, white wine for $8-9 US, where in the States here, that same bottle of wine might cost, $25-30. So our dollar definitely goes a long way when it comes to Portugal.
Excellent.
Yeah. Some of the other towns that we visit are, Obidos, which is where you see these beautiful whitewashed buildings, all surrounded by medieval walls. So you'll see a lot of medieval architecture over the course of the tour, especially in the town, of Sintra, which is another. I think this is a tour that has the most UNESCO World Heritage sites on it. It seems like every single day we're seeing at least 1 or 2 different UNESCO sites. And UNESCO can be anything. It can be a place, so a city, it can be a type of food, it can be a style of music like Fado, for instance. So you see a lot of different UNESCO sites throughout the course of the tour. And then I want to highlight what we call choice on tour. So I get questions, Mitch, what is this choice on tour? Is this something that we have to pay additional for? Can you walk me through it? So choice on tour is something that Collette actually was the pioneers of. I think we started it back before the pandemic. It's basically gives our guests the choice to choose how they want to go about spending their time in a specific area. So these are things that are included. You can just kind of customize your experience, if you will. If you want to just enjoy some free time in Sintra, you definitely can. If you're a little bit, more boots on the ground, hey, we want to see everything while we're there. The second choice is probably the one that I would recommend. We venture up on top of the hill of Sintra. We visit this amazing national palace of Sintra. It overlooks the town, so you get some really good panoramic views. And the history is nice too. The palace dates back nearly 1,000 years old or so. Originally began constructed in the 11th century. So it's a nice little tour and gives you some really good panoramic views of the surrounding area. One of my favorite parts of the trip was definitely the Algarve. So when we go down to the Algarve, we spend 3 nights down there, staying in an amazing Villa Galé. This is the view of the hotel. It's got a absolutely massive center courtyard and a really, really unique pool area as well. Weather-wise, down in the Algarve, it's a little bit warmer. The further south that we get, the warmer that it gets. And Portugal, like I mentioned, is definitely a warm weather destination. It's kind of the Florida, if you will, for Europeans. A lot of Europeans from like Switzerland, the Alpine countries will actually go to Portugal to get away during the cold weather months. So it's kind of a warm weather getaway for the locals as well in Europe. And here's a good overhead shot of what that hotel actually looks like, the location of it. So you step outside your hotel room, you cross the road, and you're right there on the beach. So perfect location. Some of the different highlights that we do when we're in the area, we got to go to a cork factory. Yeah, Portugal is the world's #1 producer of cork. So you'll see cork everywhere. Matter of fact, actually picked up this little number from Portugal when I was there. This is my super stylish cork wallet. And you can find just about anything when it comes to cork goods. Obviously wine stoppers, purses, wallets, belts, ties. I even saw a cork wedding dress when I was there. Every young girl's dream growing up to get married in a nice brown cork wedding dress. I thought that was pretty interesting. But while we're down in the Algarve, we'll have a chance. We give you a good amount of free time down there to just enjoy. Maybe you want to enjoy the beach scene, do a little bit of shopping down there. Some of the sites that we see are the Roman temple when we're in Evora. They also have a very unique chapel of the bones underneath this church. It's very unique. I don't know if any of you have looked up pictures or anything of the chapel of the bones. For some reason, Collette doesn't include a picture in the slideshow. I think maybe it turns some people off. The chapel of the bones is essentially a tiny little chapel underneath this cathedral, and it's constructed with bones of priests essentially over the years that have passed away, been buried underneath the church, but their bones live on the walls, on the columns. It's a little creepy at first, but I've never seen anything like it. So I thought that it was definitely worth the stop for sure. And we'll visit these little, quaint mountainside towns like Monsaraz, lots and lots of history, dating back to the Neolithic period. We stay in the resort town of Lagos. So this is what we consider to be the Algarve. Lagos is actually the town that we stay in. And we have a chance to visit, the home of the first school of the navigator. So we'll learn all about, the discoveries over the years, the conquests. We'll learn about, Prince Henry the Navigator, how he first began his explorations here at the School of Navigators. I don't know if you guys are cheese fans by any chance, but we do have a chance to visit Azeitao, which is very famous for its cheeses. It's kind of renowned worldwide. So this is a good place to pick up some cheese as a souvenir if y'all are cheese fans. I talked about the wine. During lunch one day, we experience, true Algarve culinary scene because we have a included chef-led cooking demonstration where a traditional Portuguese chef will take us through step by step the dish that they're going to prepare. You always get the recipe card at the end. So if you want to come back, try your hand at a little bit of traditional Portuguese cuisine, you can certainly do so. And of course, you got to sample out some of the traditional wines, the liqueurs. If you got a sweet tooth, Portugal is very well known for their pastries. And I've got good news for you folks. I've tried them out. Promise, there's no sugar, there's no carbs, there's no calories in anything. So you don't feel guilty about it. And you're walking around. So you have a chance to burn off some of those calories. But yeah, Portugal definitely knows what they're doing whenever it comes to the sweet scene. Tiles are also very big in Portugal. This is a nice gift to pick up, some nice Portuguese tiles. And you'll see, the tile work all throughout. Their traditional colors are those, blues, lighter blues, and whites. You'll see them on the facades of a lot of buildings. When you go into like Cascais, you'll see different areas of the city where the cobblestone streets are decorated with these beautiful tile work. So we actually include a visit to a family-run shop, and we learn some of the different techniques of these, famous hand-painted Portuguese tiles. It's a good place to pick up a souvenir for sure.
We have some. We got some when our son went to.
Yeah,
they brought us tile, so we've got that in our home now. So that's really nice. You're right. Beautiful.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That was a nice souvenir that I picked up a couple pieces of tile for my grandparents, picked up for my parents. So yeah, their houses are decked out with Portuguese tiles as well. It's a nice little souvenir, something that, is very local, but doesn't break the bank. Were you guys interested in the extensions at all to like Madeira on the back end, or we also have a pre-tour extension if you were interested in going in early to Porto. I don't know if that was something that you guys booked or something that you were interested in.
We decided not to book either one of those.
Well, we did sign up for the one sailing trip, or we're going to if we haven't already.
Oh, let me see.
Yes, absolutely. So,
Yeah, also cruise.
Oh, there it is. Yep.
yeah, this is a nice option. I'll be honest. It's not something that takes up, the entirety of the day. So it's not too much time. It's not something that breaks the bank. It's about 2 hours in length. It costs $50. So I feel like you get a pretty good bang for your buck, and
Sure.
you get to see a little bit of a different, perspective of the coastline in the Bay of Lagos, because the cruise will take you to some of these other, inaccessible areas, and you'll have a chance to see, these pristine beaches, beautiful, rocky cliffs, breathtaking views. You'll have a chance to get through some of these, tiny little inlets, see different grottos, impressive caves along the way. So I had a chance to do this option. I think it's a really nice way just to spend 2 hours of the day, especially, on a nice day, clear skies, the sun is out, there's nothing better than just going for a nice relaxing cruise along the bay.
Do they cancel it if the weather is inclement?
Yeah, they will. If we end up getting bad weather, high winds, they'll end up canceling it. And if they do, you'll just be refunded your money. So, excuse me, it's not like you're out anything if the option ends up getting canceled. But luckily, Portugal doesn't deal with a lot of big like tropical storms, high winds traditionally. So, knock on wood, we'll have clear skies and clear sailing for that optional day.
Well, we had such exceptional weather in Ireland. It was, everybody had warned us how bad the weather could be. We had an absolute perfect trip for weather. It was gorgeous.
Yeah.
Especially went along the coast. That was just gorgeous.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that I have the same luck. I'm traveling September 7th, so it's not too late in the season, but Ireland's fall starts a little bit earlier than ours, and obviously, you expect it to rain, so definitely bring the rain jacket and the galoshes. But I'm keeping my fingers crossed that I get the same luck that you guys did, and we end up with beautiful weather.
I was going to ask, when you were showing those beautiful hotels with the nice swimming facilities, at the time of year we're going, will the pools be open, or are they more seasonal, don't open until after it gets a little warmer?
They'll be open. The water might be a little chilly though.
Okay.
Because it's kind of just the start of the season. They're getting out of their winter. But their spring does start a little bit earlier than other countries like a London and the UK, where it takes a little bit more for the weather to warm up. So the pools will be open. Bring the bathing suit just in case, but it will be a little bit chillier.
Okay. And you definitely think that the room view is worth it in terms of the places we're staying.
I do. I truly do.
Okay. That's good. All right. What else?
Well, you can continue, Mitch, and if we think of any questions.
Okay, yeah, no, I was just I'm kind of just bouncing around from some of these different photos that you'll see. You'll see, some Roman influence as well when we visit like the town of Faro and tour the historic city center. So it's surrounded by these beautiful, 19th century walls, and you see this a lot with European cities. They built these medieval walls to protect against invaders, conquerors, and now a lot of them have turned them into nice little promenades where it's a nice relaxing walk around the city in the medieval walls. So, I forgot, we also do Arraiolos, which is known as the village of rugs. So this area right here is where you get those really nice Portuguese tapestries, all handmade in the village, and they've been making these amazing tapestries ever since the Middle Ages. So I have a chance to, if you want, pick up a nice tapestry. It does, depending on how big they are, you might want to consider just shipping them back home. Same with like olive oil, wine. You are technically allowed to bring 2 bottles of olive oil and wine back. So if that's something that you're planning on doing, that's something that you want to bring back as a souvenir. Just recommend packing a little bit light, because the weight of those olive oil bottles and the wine can take up a good amount of space and a good amount of weight pretty quickly.
Okay.
What else to cover?
You got us excited already.
Yeah.
We're ready.
Bags are packed, ready to go. Yeah,
We lived in Spain when we were very young. We lived in Rota, Spain, when we were both I was in the Navy and my wife was coming out of the Navy. And so we love the area over there. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, in my opinion too, I mean, Portugal is such an underrated country. Everyone always thinks, the usuals, Italy, Ireland, nowadays Iceland has been all the rage, London, France, but nobody ever thinks of Portugal, and they end up completely missing out because it is an incredible country. I mean, it truly does. It's got something for everyone. It's got history. It's got amazing food, great wine, good olive oil. The people are fantastic. Like you mentioned, there's not that language barrier because English is very widely spoken. Kids in the country traditionally start learning it at a very young age when they start school. A lot of the schools will require their students to actually, learn a second language, and most of them will pick English just because of how widely spoken it is around the world. Like I said, our dollar goes extremely far. So you can sit down, you can have a, nice dinner, bottle of wine for, 25, 30 bucks US. So it's a really good value as well. And it is, there's definitely a lot of similarities to Spain. I've had the chance to visit Spain twice now. I absolutely love it. There's definite similarities, but there's also a lot of differences. So you don't feel like, oh, well, I did Spain. How different is Portugal really at the end of the day? There are a lot of similarities, but there are a lot of differences as well. Going through and putting this together last night, maybe want to look into going back and doing a repeat trip of Portugal.
Yeah.
I'll be honest.
Okay. Yeah, we're looking forward to it.
Yeah, this was very exciting, and if our experience is as good as it was in Ireland,
Yeah.
we'll be very happy. Yeah, you did a nice job for us. It was very pleasant.
Well, I appreciate that. I mean, I truly do think Collette, they do things the right way. We're not the cheapest tour operator out there. That's not what we strive to be, though, either. We want to give as much value as possible to our guests. So we're staying in, very, very nice properties like the Villa Galets that we use. It's very inclusive. You saw that there's only 2 optional tours, and, we find that, yes, we brand ourselves as a 4-star tour company. Those are the hotel qualities that we put our guests in. But, based on the surveys and the feedback that we get from everyone that travels on our tours, they rate it closer to a 5-star experience, just with, the quality of the meals, the fact that they're outside of the hotel, inclusivity of touring, the location of the hotels. And I think the biggest separator between us and other companies out there are the tour managers. I mean, they make the trip, what it is at the end of the day. You can be staying in amazing hotels, have great meals, good touring and sightseeing, but if you don't have a good guide showing you around, who's personable, who's knowledgeable, who's bringing the destination to life, it can really sour the tour. And Collette truly is known in the industry as having some of the best guides in the industry. I'm